the surgical site infection. It can occur up to 30% in some surgeries and have a mortality rate about 4%. I'm part of an organization called the Global Smile Foundation. They travel outside the US, Latin America, Middle East, and Africa, and they perform surgeries. They do the surgery and they leave. There's little support for the patient after they leave. So they were looking for a solution like how can we get update from the patients without them traveling 6 hours back to the hospital, the clinic.
Okay. Welcome to Startup Health TV, where we celebrate the entrepreneurs and innovators who are transforming health. I'm Logan Plaster with my guest today, Talal Ali Ahmad, the CEO and founder of Predictive Healthcare. Talal, great to see you.
Thank you, Logan. Thank you for having me here.
It's been nice to see your company grow and progress since you joined the startup health community not too long ago.
Yep.
But let's start with the challenge. What was broken in healthcare that caused you to want to step into the fray, take the risk of becoming a founder, and create this company?
Yeah. So post-operative patients, they face a lot of challenges after discharge. They go home with the instruction how to take care of themselves with a little support. At the same time, the clinician has no visibility during the recovery period until the patient comes into the clinic or they call them.
Okay.
So one critical thing in the whole process is the surgical site infection. It can occur up to 30% in some surgeries, and it costs a lot of money. It delayed the recovery and might develop chronic wounds and have a mortality rate about 4%. And I get this exposed through two different things. One, I'm part of an organization called the Global Smile Foundation.
Global Smile, okay.
They travel outside the US, Latin America, Middle East, and Africa, and they perform surgeries. So I travel with them as an IT and logistic, and I'm looking at them like they do the surgery and they leave. But there's little support for the patient after they leave. So the patient depends on WhatsApp or to talk to someone to report the outcome. So they were looking for a solution like how can we get update from the patients without them traveling 6 hours back to the hospital, the clinic, and address them. Maybe they don't have to travel. And that's what the idea came. At the same time, I went through the challenge through my son. So my son had a surgery. We brought him home. 2 days later, the wound looks red. So I called the office. I said, like, the wound looks a bit red. And the nurse asked me, how red is it? I said, it's red. I mean, I don't know. It's for me, it's red.
On a scale of what?
He said, well, if you're concerned, bring him over. Let's take a look at it. So bring him over. Said, oh, that's normal. Don't worry about it. Just continue with the medication. 3 days later, the thing is still red and getting red. And we called the nurse and said, is it redder or the same as 2 days ago? I said, I think it's a little bit more red. She said, like, you need to go to emergency room.
And you're coming from a technical background,
yes.
So you're thinking, this is not particularly accurate.
No, it's not. So I went to the emergency room. We went there. They went through the process. Said, like, it's okay. Just keep continuing the medication. And I'm looking around. Everybody's, like, have a cell phone, taking pictures, selfies with their friends. And it's like, there must be a way we can use this. Use the everyday device to communicate with our doctors.
Which is a good segue to your past experience.
Yeah.
How did this tap into things you've done before?
So this is my second medtech startup.
Okay.
So in the past, it was also same thing. Doctors complaining how we can train other doctors on procedures. And they don't want to spend the $500,000 on a telemedicine system. So we opt to look at what the doctor uses every day. They use a tablet. They use the PC. So I'm going to develop something, continue using the same hardware, same technology, not acquire new hardware, new technology for them.
Were you looking for another idea in another business, or did this just kind of fall in your lap? You with your son, you see the surgery site, and you're like, look, here's a problem, I got to solve it.
Well, the way it started is like, I thought I'm solving the problem for NGO, for Global Smile Foundation, but then the more I start working on it, people saying, wait, I can use it in my clinic. I can use it with my patient, because even we live in the US, the closest hospital probably 30 minutes, but you still have to drive every day for an hour, for 10 minutes appointment.
And there's the emotional toll of you looking at it, you're worried, is this getting infected, you don't know.
And the nursing staff or the clinicians are overworked, so they don't have time to call every single patient every day or answer the calls. I mean, they have their own.
They have a text chain of photos with each one of them.
And the other thing is, what part of the technology is the doctor said, we get pictures every day. But you'd be surprised what kind of picture we get. People like take a picture with the dressing still on and tell us, is my wound okay? So that's why when we developed the technology, we took that in consideration to guide the patient to how to take the picture to be clear enough for us to analyze it and the doctor to make sense out of it too.
Okay, so you've outlined the challenge, infection site sort of maintenance post-surgery. that could apply to tons of types of surgeries,
Any,
correct?
any open surgery.
Any open surgery could have a surgical site infection. You're always thinking about it.
Yeah.
What are some of the costs associated with, infections post-surgery?
In the U.S., I mean, anytime you step in the emergency room, if you don't get admitted, there's a cost between $10,000 to $25,000. That's by the time they get you a bed, someone to see you, take a blood test, everything.
So every time you look at that site and you're like,
That's 25.
I'm worried.
Exactly.
Pop into the ER.
Go to the ER. That's not including what we call the unnecessary office visit, which costs about $400 the doctor's time slot. But the emergency room visit is not reimbursed by the insurance to the hospitals because that's part of the global pay of the surgery.
Of the surgeons.
So
okay.
2 cases a week, they'll wipe up their profit on a couple surgeries.
Got it. Okay.
So
okay.
for us, is the return on investment is cut down readmission by 20 up to 40% if we can, even more.
Okay.
But that's the goal right now, between 20 to 40% to cut readmission, and eliminate the office visit, unnecessary office visit, because instead of traveling for half an hour, take a half an hour slot from the doctors from other patients. They can send the data. It makes sense. They look at it and say, okay, you don't need to come tomorrow. You're all set.
Okay, so we've outlined the challenge, surgery site infection. We haven't talked about what you've built yet. So predictive healthcare,
Yeah.
what did you build to solve that problem?
So we built a platform consists of 2 mobile app and 1 dashboard.
Okay.
1 mobile app for the patient so they can take the pictures, upload the vital signs. We can collect up to 26 KPIs, but usually doctor asks for 3 or 4.
Okay.
And the clinician mobile app to get the alert on it with all the data, the picture and the vital signs and our prediction.
Okay.
So they can look at the data, they can agree or disagree with our prediction, and they follow the standard of care. The dashboard for someone sitting at their desk, they want to look at their information versus phone, and also we integrated with Epic. Actually, last week we are on the Epic showroom, so
Congrats.
our application
That's
is
great.
there. So that's end to end. It's part of their workflow. So they can get the data to Epic, and when they sign up the patient, we can pull the data from patient information from Epic, so we don't have to do manual entry on the.
Okay, so on the patient side, let's say that I was your son, or say I was one of these patients that would have ended up in the emergency department. Instead, I have your app. What I'm understanding is I take a photo of it, and it comes into the app, and then you said you do your own predictions.
So we analyze the image first. We look
Got
for
it.
any sign of characteristic of infection, and then we come up with predictive outcome. Then we take the vital signs, because sometimes the picture that doesn't show a lot of information.
Yeah.
So if somebody is have a pain for the last 24 hours or fever, that means that something is boiling.
Yeah, yeah.
So we make it elevated. We put an elevated risk category, and we alert the clinician. We say elevated risk.
Right.
This is the
Fever is
information.
a big
and-
piece of that. How do you collect the vitals?
So right now, because we start up, it's a manual entry.
Sure.
We're looking at integrating with RPM devices
Got it.
as we move forward.
Okay. So you're just asking me for my temperature. So you do a prediction, and then you add in the vitals, and then you send that information to the physician. And it integrates directly into Epic.
Exactly. And the physician look at it, elevated. We sort them for the physician by the risk. So elevated risk on the top, and they look at they have the picture, they have the data. They can make their own decision. They can say, I agree or disagree.
Okay.
If they agree, and they follow standard care. If they disagree with our prediction, we ask them why.
Okay.
And we take that data, retrain the model. Also, what we missed from that picture, we can retrain it again.
Talk to me about how the surgeons are responding. We've talked before about how, in order for them to embrace this, they have to admit that there's an infection rate.
Yeah.
Sorry. But you're also saving them on a really strong ROI. So
Yes.
how have surgeons responded?
So the surgeon right now is saying, any data you can give me on the patient after surgery is valuable for me,
Got it.
because I need this data. I don't want the patient in the emergency room with infection. I want to talk to him at the early stage of the infection, because in some surgeries, even superficial infection can cause big problem. Like if you have an implantable device, like heart pacemaker,
Yeah.
if there's an infection and the patient comes to the hospital, they have to go operate on the patient, remove everything, clean up, and do everything over again.
Yeah.
So the minute
It's
we
deadly,
detect,
yeah.
the minute they notice any sign of infection, they want to address it. If we send a picture with the infection already started, that we missed the whole thing. There's no value.
Yeah.
So our value is to early detection and alert them early enough to take action.
How accurate is AI at detecting from a photo, early infection?
So based on the pilot, which the Global Smile and also the customer right now, we have 300 patients on the platform. Our accuracy about 85% right now on the prediction.
Okay.
And the compliance also from the patient based on 90+% from the patient.
So the compliance piece alone is super valuable.
It is.
That they're
It
actually
is.
doing it.
Exactly.
They're taking the pictures correctly.
Exactly.
Got it. And is 85%, is that clinically helpful enough? Are you trying to get that higher? Or
Well,
put it in context for me.
So there's no 100% prediction.
Yeah.
I mean, anything above 80, if you look at the FDA reports, a lot of like 80% and higher is good. So we're aimed to close to 90, I would say.
Okay.
I mean, if we get 100, we'll be like sailing high.
Awesome. So what are you most excited about for the next 12 months in terms of milestones, new partners?
Well, so we are about to kick off 2 pilots in the Boston area with the 2 major hospitals.
Okay.
We're waiting for the final IRB approval.
Nice.
So that will give us more data to show our product, it is working. I mean, we know it works, but more data to brag about it technically. Saying, this is our product, it's cutting down readmission by 30, 20%, 50%, whatever it is.
Awesome.
And then also the fundraising is always a goal.
Always fundraising. I mean, are you in a raise now? You want to tell us about it?
No, so we are in the raise right now. We are in the pre-seed stage, so we have no revenue, so we're looking to raise the pre-seed round, and we're talking to investors. We have some traction for people. They don't want to lead, so we're looking for lead investors. And at the same time, we're selling the product because the product is a commercial ready. It's the FDA class 1, so we can sell it and make money at the same time raise fund for our company and grow.
All right. Well, Talal, you're at an exciting inflection point. Excited to hear more about those Boston partnerships. And I hope this word gets out to the right mission fit funder. It's not just anybody. You want to find someone who really gets what you're doing and is as passionate about it as you are. So I wish you the best in the next year. Okay,
thank you very much, Logan. Take care.
Keep going. Keep grinding.
Thank you.